New York Police Department has a mass exodus going on. Not unlike Portland, not unlike Seattle, other cities that defunded their police departments. Now, New York City, they moved money around to the tune of about a sixth of their budget, about $1 billion. I just recorded a podcast not long ago, and I mentioned how many police officers does New York City have? I guessed, is it like 15,000? I thought it was a high number. It's more like 35,000 cops to keep the city and the residents of New York safe-ish, right? I mean, we're kind of talking safe-ish at this point because crime has gone up and the number of police officers is being depleted, and New York City is no exception. Police on pace to quit, retire in record numbers. So just the sheer numbers in New York City are like staggering because the police officers that you're either bringing in an academy class or that are quitting are like the equivalent of what we need in Seattle. Those 500-600 officers that quit, on a yearly basis. We need those cops like in our police department to provide safety for our citizens here. But New York City just has such a bigger population. And, it's arguably the number one terrorist, target in the world, New York City. So you got that, and you've got cops that need to, be there to provide that public safety factor. And right now it's not going in the right direction, just like other police departments throughout the United States that have been defunded. So let's jump on into it. Before we do, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies. I read the news. Here we go. Some 524 cops have resigned and 1,072 have retired this year as of May 31st. So it's like 1,500 cops already this year. More than 1,500 cops New York Police Department officers have either resigned or retired so far this year, on pace to be the biggest exodus of officers since the statistics have been available. Statistics. It's a hard word to say fast. Some 524 cops resigned and 1,072 have retired. We just talked about that. The 1,596 total is a 38% spike from the same period in 2021. So call it up 40%. We got retirees and people quitting up 40% and a staggering 46% climb from 2020. These are the repercussions of bail reform, laws being changed, and basically people taking a dump on police officers in general. We had the whole riot situation in 2020 and everybody was just on defund the police. Well, with that came an attitude towards the police that's made it a profession that people are like, yeah, I don't think so. Maybe I'll become a firefighter. Definitely not a cop. Not a cop. It's been made to be an occupation that you don't want to take up. Now, I did just read an article that the mayor of New York City, Barrett Carr, so he's not afraid of the numbers dropping. He is basically saying, New York mayor is saying, you know what? It's a great career. People are attracted to this career. Everybody wants to be a cop in New York City. Well, they do until they don't, right? And why would it be any different in a major, massive urban environment like New York City than say a Portland or a Seattle? Why would it be that much different? It's not. It's just that the sheer numbers are staggeringly different. Anti-cop hostility, bail reform, and rising crime. That's another thing. You got these rising crime. Criminals are emboldened to do whatever the F they want. We know that. Here in Washington State, we've got criminals. Literally, I just got off recording a podcast where this guy is being chased by the cops with this girlfriend that he's either taken hostage or, spending quality time with. We weren't really sure. He takes off from the cops. They chase him in a vehicle. They get sirens going, lights going. And he literally, while he's driving and being chased, calls up 911 and says, this is an illegal pursuit because of law 1074, which was the wrong House bill. But, at least he's referencing something. He gets partial stupid criminal credit, right? So he's driving along saying, this is an illegal chase. This is an illegal chase. So you've got stuff like that going on. They ended up throwing the spike thing down and took his tires out and they put him in jail. And on the phone call, he literally says, yeah, I can't pull over. I got a suspended license. And you're like, what a dumbass. What a dumbass. But, smarter than the other dumbasses who aren't questioning whether they can just book it out of there and maybe they won't pursue. The fact that you got a cop behind you with lights going and siren, you should probably pull over. I'm just saying, you should probably pull. But if you got an expired license, suspended license, take your chances. Let's see what 911 has to say. Stuff like that going on. And everybody wonders, well, why are the police quitting? Yeah, because you've got ridiculous laws that work against the police and their ability to do their job as well. Anti-cop hostility, bail reform, and rising crime have led frustration among the New York Police Department rank and file, according to one New York Police Department officer who recently fled for greener pastures at a Long Island Police Department after 6.5 years with the New York's finest. Man, there's probably a lot of cops out there that are like, I got to quit. I got to retire pretty soon. But man, is this how I want to go out with leaving things this way? I don't think they do want to leave things this way. Well, new guys coming in, new guys and new gals coming in. Good luck. Here you go. You want to hand off whatever entity that you worked for, a company that you worked for, a corporation that you've worked for. People don't want to just ditch and get out of there unless it's a really horrible environment. And people that dedicate their lives to public safety, I don't think they want to leave it just a lawless wreck, right? I think they want to hand it off and go, all right, I did my time. I did some good out there. This is me just optimally, speaking. I did some good out there. Now I'm going to hand it over to the new crew, the younger crew coming up as, an older crew handed off to me at one point in time. And I'm going to give them something that, pretty good to work with. Some of the worst conditions ever, right? Kind of like inflation, highest ever. Gasoline prices, highest ever. How's that working out? How's that? Rent, highest ever. Yeah. Trump told us about this, didn't he? Yeah. Trump told us about a number of these things. We didn't believe him. Some of us did. But some of the stuff he said was just kind of like, I'm not sure there. But now you see it on YouTube and you're like, he was right. He was right. He was 100% right. His approach was questionable, and that's why a lot of people didn't believe him, because he's just kind of all over the place, and he said a bunch of stuff, and then he said some other stuff that didn't have a lot of validity. I just haven't been able to see the whole, they stole the election thing. I just haven't been able to buy that one. But other stuff, like our reliance upon Russia and the whole energy thing, man, dead on, right? Joe's patrol gig just got worse and worse over time, he said. The mantra now is get out while you can. Talking to a former Queens cop who asked to be identified only as Joe. The last few years, so many people have been leaving and manpower is so low that you go to work and you'd answer 25 to 30 jobs a day and you're burnt out by the end of the day, he said, adding, there was no time for law enforcement because it would be radio run all day long. They're just, So no law enforcement. They're just on the go, just basically reacting to what's going on and not being able to do their jobs, essentially. Even when he made an arrest, they were back in the precinct picking up their property the same day. Talking about the people being arrested. It's got to be so frustrating. You do your job. You do what you're hired to do. You're sworn to uphold public safety. And then all of a sudden you're like, that guy's he just committed a horrible crime and I arrested him and he's just out of here. This is literally what we're doing. The stunning pension stats are at odds with the New York Police Department's own figures, which show 1,091 cops set to leave as of May 31st, with 494 resigning and 594 retiring. So another 1,091 cops. It's another 1,000 out the door. Now, in smaller areas like Portland, I believe in July of this year, there's another 40 police officers that are eligible for retirement. 40 might not sound like a big deal, but when you are down to, are they down to like 800 cops in Portland now? It's a big number. It's a significant number. And a lot of these numbers, what is happening is you're not bringing in enough police officers to offset or incrementally build up police officers. You are going negative. So you've got more retirees and you've got more people quitting or lateral moves to another department in another state where they don't defund their police. It's what we're doing. Overall, the current roster of 34,687 police officers is a significant drop from 2019 when there were 36,900 officers. So, a quick 2,200 officers have left in the last couple of years. That's a big number. That's a lot of cops just saying, yeah, I don't think so. This isn't the career choice for me. And then you got the mayor. This is a great career choice for anybody. Well, we'll see, right? Officers typically work 20 years or more to collect their full pension, which can equate to 50%, half of their final average salary. The data obtained by the Post shows that those who are running their time or using accrued days off before they exit, those cops are still counted in the New York Police Department's own stats as being on the force. A lot of blue flu, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? You've got all these, accrued time built up. Use it. You earned it. Use it. And then you quit. That's how you go out, right? Maybe you go out on a disability. I know a lot of firemen go out on that because back in the day, they used to get hurt all the time. Maybe cops get hurt too. Do what you got to do. Last year, the number of cops who quit before becoming eligible for their full pension was the highest in 2 decades. This year, we're on pace for the highest ever recorded. Yeah, we're setting record-breaking numbers. Inflation, housing, rent, gas, fuel. We're setting record-breaking numbers in categories you don't want to be you don't want to be proud of. Like, I had a record-setting presidential run. Unfortunately, it was all for bad stuff. That's how we're going to remember Joe Biden. That's how he's not going to turn any of this stuff around, is he? No, he's just going to go further sideways. Just further sideways. Every time I turn around, there is a new article saying polling numbers worst ever on both Biden and Kamala Harris. I mean, okay, we get it. His polling numbers are terrible. Well, there's some terrible stuff going on, and it is attributed directly to who's in office. Interesting. How does that work? Cause and effect? I think so. Joe, who will ultimately get only a prorated fraction of his pension, knows of at least 4 other New York Police Department pals who left the city for Long Island police departments. That's a local lateral move, right? Hey, they're short there. They're hiring. Maybe you don't make quite as much money. You're working in an environment where you can be happy. You're not going to have these nut jobs just coming after you like you do in a big city environment. Just got, just a bunch of people that don't respect police, don't respect anything, don't respect public property, and they certainly don't respect public safety. Because if they did, they wouldn't make the cops' job as a nightmare as it is. Cops who made the move before me said, it's a decision you have to make. You can't turn this job down. The quality of life is better. They treat you more like a human than being a number. Well, and you got 36,000 cops at one time. You're a number, right? Joe said, adding the advice was also to take other civil service tests, explore all options, look out of state, look to Florida. Interesting. Better weather. Texas. It's hot there. Arizona. It's even hotter there, right? Now, these are states that appreciate their police officers, and people are going to go work there. This isn't that hard to figure out. Plus, New York City is wildly expensive. So, Florida, Texas, Arizona. My friends were all going to the Port Authority Nassau, Suffolk, MTA Police Department. That's where they're going. Joe said he checks in every day with his friends back at his former Queens precinct, and morale has plummeted further. When I ask, how are things? The response is horrible. Worse than when you left, and it's only been 6 months, he said. The mass departures will have repercussions, law enforcers say. The New York Police Department is sliding deeper into a staffing crisis that will ultimately hurt public safety. We've already experienced that here in Seattle. We've experienced that down in Portland, and it's going to take years to come back out of it. And I'm not a glass half full kind of guy. I'm glass half full. I'm that that damn glass is full. It's full. There's good stuff there. Drink that water. But the repercussions from what you've seen with the depletion of the police numbers, I think that's going to take a long time. And think about how long it takes for people to come through the academy, like 18 months to get them out there before they can go out on their own, right? Like a year and a half. And you're already down in Seattle and Portland and New York. You're down how many cops? Thousands. And you're losing how many a month? Negative? A bunch. Yeah. So you got to get that public sentiment to go the other way and have people want to take the job. That's not where we're at. Low pay, inferior benefits, and constant abuse from the city council and other anti-cop demagogues has pushed attrition to record highs. This isn't anything new, right? Bad pay, inferior benefits and constant abuse. That sounds like the military, doesn't it? It sounds like, hey, let's go sign up in the Army. 18th birthday, let's go. How many movies have been made about that? John Candy in Stripes. Is that John Candy? I think it was. That's a funny movie. Bill Murray, was he in Stripes? Yeah, Bill Murray was in Stripes as well. Good, solid movies. Most all I know about policing in the Army is from the movies, right? I have no personal experience. So, New York Police Department was hoping to hire 1,090 new cops, or 1,009 new cops to the class that was sworn in December. They got 675. That's impressive because in Portland and Seattle, we're talking like 4, 3, a dozen if you're really, really lucky, 5. It's 675 in New York City. The city is bleeding blue and only the cop haters will be celebrating. There's no way to stop it. Activists, abolitionists, and their pandering politicians have done so much damage to the profession that it will take a generation to fix, if at all. It's going to take years. It's literally going to take years to solve the damage that's been done here. Years and years of recruiting and getting back to an attitude of we appreciate our police officers. We don't have that now. So the clock hasn't even started ticking as to when this will start to sort itself out. We know it's sorting itself out in a negative way right now. We know that here in Seattle. We know that. We just don't have enough cops to keep the city safe. Same in Portland. New York City, they're going to experience it as well, just on a slower time frame, because they've got more cops in general, so they can kind of do more with what they've got. Whereas smaller police departments, one big event comes through, areas of the town that are going to be without police protection at all, and that's kind of where I'm looking at going, that's not good. This is not reasonable. So wanted to check in on New York City Police Department. This is a great article and just kind of cover what's going there. Let's go a little East Coast. That's what we did. We're always talking about police because that whole public safety thing, which has just been pooped on the last couple of years. Need to get that going. Need to understand, hey, here's where we're at. This is what's going on. This is what we're facing. It's an uphill battle. I don't see any way but to look at these things as huge uphill battles and just be aware and make that vote count when it comes time to when you're voting. All right, that's it for me. Thanks so much for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.